Now, would you like to tell Dr. Phil what you would like to see from him on his show to bring awareness, let's say, to traumatic brain injury as well as to strokes? Dundalk TV is with
Petra Marino Frasco.
And she is a stroke survivor. She reached out to me today after seeing one of my videos on Dundalk TV and about my petition to Dr. Phil to bring awareness for traumatic brain injuries. And we definitely have a passion to help other people. What would you like to share today with everyone about strokes?
Okay, well, I had my stroke 5 years ago. It was in July 21st, 2011. So, and it's been a struggle. I mean, it's still ongoing, but it's just not as bad. So my brain has healed, since then, naturally. But I guess one of my struggles has been also was that, I just didn't have the proper care after I had the stroke. We did have therapy. I did have therapy, all three of them. I can't think of what it all was. I guess one's physical, one's speech, and I forget the other one. So I'm sure every stroke survivor went through that. I don't know if you can help me out on that. I guess not.
Well,
Okay.
yes, I can. Actually, as a traumatic brain injury survivor, I haven't had my first day of therapy. You said that you're having problems with Social Security, and that you shared that with me earlier. Myself, I was injured on the job, and I haven't had my first day of cognitive therapy. Actually, I wrote a book, and then I started doing my Dundalk TV. So right now you're seeing me do therapy, something that actually helps me out to keep my mind active. And also it is my vocational rehabilitation. So I'm hoping to one day be able to make some kind of money by doing this. Haven't yet. It's actually cost me money, but it's been very healthy for me, and I'm very happy about it. Myself, as I said, not one day of therapy, so I've been fighting almost, it's coming up on 9 years, so the better part of a decade to try to get some kind of help, and I haven't been able to. Now with yourself, please share the information that has happened with you with Social Security, and how that all feels. And I did understand exactly what you were going through for the most part, what you were telling me earlier. So please share that information so other people will understand, and maybe we can actually get some people to start doing some stuff about this, so people don't wind up like myself or yourself.
Right. Right. Well, I do believe that there needs to be a lot more help for people who have strokes, because it is a brain damage. And a lot of times when somebody would probably have a stroke, like in my case, I have two hereditary blood clotting disorders. So factor V bleeding and factor II. So now, like for me, I'm supposed to be on blood thinners for the rest of my life. And then I developed seizures. And then on top of that, I had memory issues, and I was confused all the time, and I would get lost. It's not like it really slowed down my intelligence. It's more like it almost at some points it made me feel like I was a child again, because a lot of stuff was new to me. I mean, I had to start walking again. I mean, I was walking a little bit, but it was extremely difficult. And the therapy that I would go through, it wouldn't be that long. It would just only be like maybe an hour or something like that. And then, but I would be just totally wiped out. I would want to, pass out in the car on the way home. And it was a hard struggle. And for somebody who doesn't have family to help support them and know exactly what's going on with you, then their situation can decline, or it can make it last longer. And then during that period, especially if you don't have a good support system within your community, your friends, and your family, it can really affect the victim, or the survivor, or whatever you want to call them now. So and it can cause them to go into another stroke. Like, for instance, I ended up with seizures. Never had seizures before in my life, and then I had seizures. And then I had migraines, and then the doctors, didn't want to prescribe me something just specific for migraines. He kept wanting to give me hydrocodone. And then at the time, I ended up having an attorney. My attorney told me to tell him to stop giving me hydrocodone and give me something specific for migraines. Still, I never got that. And then when my insurance had ran up, because I did have insurance at the time, through a previous marriage, and so then I didn't even get the proper care like I was supposed to. I didn't see a neurologist anymore. I didn't see a hematologist. I didn't have the family doctor anymore. So basically all I had was the health department to get my blood work and a psychiatric clinic or mental health clinic here in town to get like my, I had to get sleeping pills because I suffered from sleep. And then my anxiety meds I got there. And then I ended up going on, tried several different antidepressants. And the best one I found that works good for me, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it. I want to think Claritin because the sinuses is going crazy. But anyways, so I mean, it's just been a struggle, and I've been fighting with the system now for going on almost 5 years now. From when I went to court last time, they judged it because, you know, for instance, there are certain things that I can do, like I can sit behind a computer, or, you know, I am still able to, you know, make me something to eat. And, but it's not, I don't know, they said how they worded it, since I was able to do certain things like these, then I can get a job. But what they didn't understand is that when somebody has brain trauma, their brain, it takes them longer to be able to process stuff, and then they get tired quickly because their brain is working like overtime. So I would get really tired and then I would start to get anxious, and then I would start to, you know, a little bit of confusion would come in, and then before you know it, you know, the anxiety comes in, and then I'll start, you know, snapping off or something, you know, to somebody if they're, you know, bossing me around or something, you know. So it's been a struggle, and if you don't have if you don't have funds to get your medication and you're off of your medication, then it's just even harder. Well, and you're not working, you're not able to, you know, get the proper people to help you. So now I'm going through the system to try to get put on it, and because I don't have any choice now. You know, like I said, my 5 years is coming up, and now I'm completely unable to work. I mean, people said to take the bus, but a lot of times they don't understand when someone who suffers from, you know, trauma to the brain, you have all this confusion. And like for me, for instance, I'm also trying to recover from CPTSD and PTSD, which, you know, so I have like double whammies going with me. So a lot of times I'm not going to want to get on a bus full of strangers or feel like, oh my gosh, where's this bus going? It's going clear up here, and then, you know, I got to go over here on this side. So it's just, I just can't. So now, you know, I am really grateful that I have my caseworker for helping me, as I probably should have went that route to begin with. But, you know, back then when I first had it, it was such a taboo, you know, because you have to admit that you have mental disorders. So now I'm a huge advocate for health, for mental health as well, because before I was always ashamed to admit that I suffer from depression or anxiety and confusion, all this other stuff, and now, you know, it's a huge problem because I'm going through it.
The worst part of it was for me, and you had mentioned a little bit about this, was when I would tell people, you know, that I had a brain injury and this was happening and that was happening, they said the same thing that, you know, you had mentioned earlier when we talked earlier, is that people would say, oh, you look fine. And then they would come up with their own diagnosis for me about what they thought that was going wrong, even though that I knew exactly what happened to me in my particular situation. Someone was telling me that they thought that I was schizophrenic. Well, you know, even we go into the doctors. Even with the doctors would read other doctors' reports that they got it wrong from the get-go. So I had a misdiagnosis. They said that I had post-traumatic stress when I had full-blown TBI. So each and every doctor read the former doctors' reports, other doctors' reports before they got to me. They went by those reports and they didn't want to listen to a word that I said. So, and
I think I lost you.
well, no, I can hear you fine. So, they, you know, they just formulated their opinion by what other doctors said, and they weren't even willing to listen to anything that I had to say or other paperwork that I had to show them that, you know, why don't you check out this particular area, look at this, these are the problems I'm struggling with. They never had any time for that. So, you know, here I am coming up on this September coming up will be 9 years for me. So, and we're not that far away from it. And like I said, it's, you know, the better part of a decade, and I haven't had any kind of help. And I fell on through every daggone crack that's out there, except for the Social Security one. That was the one blessing that I did get, but you know, the amount of money that I'm living off of is just, you know, just, it's a godsend, don't get me wrong. I'm so happy to have it, but, you know, you can't live any kind of a real life off of it. And just me doing this video work now is very cathartic for me to reach out and help other people, and to just you know, just be helping other people. It just feels really good to do that. And if not, I would have absolutely nothing. So that's where my life is at, and I'm happy to be interviewing you tonight. So so you see the similarities that we have: traumatic brain injury, stroke, and also the system. The system is just so difficult to deal with. Well, we talked about Dr. Phil earlier, so I do have the petition out there, and people can find that on my Facebook site. If they go up to the wall, it'll say, I want to be on the Dr. Phil show, I want to bring awareness. Click on that. You can go over to the side where the comments are at. You'll see a video there, and change.org. Hit that and you'll get to my petition. I greatly appreciate you doing the interview this evening, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, I do too. Hopefully we'll have a better connection.
Okay.
And I'm getting cold, so I have to turn the fan off.
Well, I'm sorry for the bad connection, but I'll see how this turned out on this end. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.